Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Poetically Christian, and welcome to another edition of Should Christians Play? The series where we go between the lines of the ESRB to answer the questions, should a Christian play? And is this game accessible for me? Hi, guys. My name is Derek. I'm a legally blind preacher, and if you're new here, we do this kind of thing all the time. Christian reviews, Let's Plays, Bible sermons, and so much more. If that sounds like something you would like, guys, and you don't want to miss anything that we do, go ahead and hit the subscribe button on Poetically Christian YouTube, as well as that like button, guys, as it helps our ministry immensely. And if you're watching over on Twitch, remember you can also hit that follow button, guys, and be able to join us when we are live. Today, guys, we're reviewing one of the OG, if not the OG, survival horror series. The one and the only, guys.
Resident Evil 6.
I wanted that guy to say he could say it a lot better than I ever could. That's right, guys. Today we're looking at Resident Evil 6, an entry in the long-running survival horror franchise, guys. And we're going to go on two fronts, as we always do with these reviews, guys. We're going to find out, is the game physically accessible for the blind and low vision, the deaf and hard of hearing, the motor disabled, and then, of course, we're going to look at things from a moral accessibility standpoint. Is the game morally and accessible for a Christian? First of all, guys, let's jump in on the physical accessibility, and let's jump in on the low vision and blind, as that's the spectrum I come at things from. Well, guys, I'm going to tell you about some things that were intended and some features that were unintended, and then one especially that makes this a game changer for the low vision and the blind guys, so stick with me. First of all, let's jump at things from the low vision spectrum. This game originally came out in 2012 for your Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. But what we're looking at today is the HD re-release of this in 2016 that was for your Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. For the low vision, we have a few accessibility features. Now, this game does not have any kind of menu narration, as it was originally a game from 2012, so you could expect that. But what it does have is it has some pretty nice contrast. The text on the menus isn't too small, it's pretty decent size, and it's light writing on dark backgrounds, which makes a nice contrast and kind of easier to read. So it's got that going for it. Also, in the options itself, on the game, you use an aiming reticle on the game, which is kind of a laser pointer that goes into the depth of the screen, and it shows you what you are aiming at. Well, by default, this reticle is red, but you can change the color of it to just about any color you want, including a bright yellow, which really stands out against the typically dark Resident Evil backgrounds, guys. So that is awesome. Another feature this game also has is what they call a snapshot. So if you're listening in on your headphones or on your speakers and you can hear the direction that the enemy is coming from, if you turn your character towards that direction with your right stick, kind of line yourself up semi-decently, you can double tap both triggers, your left trigger and right trigger, probably L2, R2 on your PlayStation. If you double tap those, your character automatically snaps to that enemy and fires a shot, a perfect shot, almost like an auto aim type setup. And if you keep repeating this, double tapping, you can keep snapshotting and not have to worry about the aim. So that is really a nice accessibility feature if you're low vision and blind and kind of have a harder time lining up aiming and lining up your sights and things like that. So that's an awesome feature. And there's also a navigation feature, which I'm going to show you in gameplay, that is awesome as well. Unfortunately for the completely blind, there is, like I said, no menu narration in this. However, once you have some sighted assistance or do some menu memorization to be able to set up your options, once you get into the game, this game is playable, and I'm going to show you how. Unbelievably, a game from 2012, it is playable. First, we'll look at the deaf and hard of hearing. You do have subtitles in this, basic subtitles, being able to turn them on and off. The campaign is completely voice-over acted, and it is completely closed caption. However, we don't have any of the modern amenities or conveniences where we have the speaker name color-coded for the speakers, and we don't have any audible through subtitles telling you where sounds are in the background or around you, which would really help in a survival horror style game. But we do have the basic subtitles to help you be able to follow along. For the motor disabled, again, basic things what you would expect from a game from 2012. You have presets for your controls. You cannot completely button remap as you would like, but you do have some presets to choose from, and hopefully there would be one to help you. So average settings for the motor disabled and deaf and hard of hearing, and a little above average, I would say, for a game from 2012 for the low vision and the blind. So guys, I'm going to jump into the gameplay, and I'm going to show you what this navigation system looks like, as this is completely game changing here. You can skip the, as I just did with your back button or select button, the cutscenes in this game, which is a nice feature.
Adam, I'm sorry. So what's so special about this church? You have some sins to confess?
It's hard to explain. If I don't tell you at the cathedral, you may not believe me.
Okay. Now, I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to turn the wrong way on purpose. Alright, in this game, as I was saying, something that really helps the low vision and the blind. There is a complete navigation system. This was chosen as kind of an aesthetic choice, where your character's looking at their cell phone as kind of a nice little aesthetic choice, but it ends up being an accessibility choice. I'm going to show you why. If you hit the left bumper or L1 button on your PlayStation, it does this. Isn't that awesome? If you hold this and walk with your left stick towards the navigational ping, it keeps guiding you to the objective. If you let it go, you can also, if you're completely blind and you want to hold that so you keep walking, it'll keep you locked on to the position of the objective, and you can just keep walking. Now, your character walks slow, but you can keep advancing towards your objective. And if you're low vision and you just want to keep snapping to see where you need to go, then walk, snap, walk, you can do that as well.
You're gonna tell me everything once we get to the cathedral. Deal?
Deal.
How awesome is that, guys? Hit it again, snaps you to where you need to be. I mean, that is a game changer, guys. And it makes this game completely playable for the low vision and blind because you have navigational assistance. Now, the only glitch that you find in this is that once in a while your objective requires like a key card or a key to get through, and let's say it just keeps guiding you to that objective, not telling you that you need a card or a key to get through it. And so you may need to kind of look around for things and have some sighted assistance, but that does not appear too many times in the game. And a bonus is this game is completely playable together in a co-op setting. So you can have your couch co-op. So you could have some sighted assistance to help you through those parts. Once you get to doors and things that you need to be at, you can hit your B button.
You see one of them, aim for the head. It's your best bet.
Got it.
And it guides you through your door. You either open the door or your co-op partner helps you.
This is where the reception was gonna be. They'd all be here eating dinner right now if...
You think anyone survived?
I hope so.
I hope so too. But yeah, when you're playing it with a co-op, obviously you have a second player, but when you're not playing with co-op and you're playing solo, your AI controls your secondary partner. So that is a game changer, guys. So overall, for the physical accessibility, I would have to give this game a little bit above average ratings from a game from 2012, as there were some intentional accessibility features, such as the reticle color and the snapshot, being able to kind of auto aim at your character, at your enemies. But there was some unintentional, as I said, this navigational GPS style cell phone thing. It was chosen kind of for a cool aesthetic choice at the time, but ends up being a game changer if you're low vision or blind. Subtitles are there, basic, but there to help the deaf and hard of hearing be able to follow the story, as I should have turned those on. Sorry, guys. And, of course, the motor disabled, kind of not the best, but you do have some presets, and hopefully you can find one that will help you be able to play this game better. So overall, I would give this game a C+ for the physical accessibility. Now, what about the moral, Christian accessibility? Well, we're going to get to that, guys. I want to show you something else. For the moral accessibility, this game got an ESRB rating of M for mature, for blood and gore, strong language, and nudity, which we will talk about here in a second, guys. Let's kind of break this up. First of all, the blood and gore is across every game mode, and there is no way of getting around that, guys. So if blood and gore and things like that in your game is a game changer, there is no way around that in this game. It's in all modes, it's in all facets of the game. So if that's a deal breaker for you, I'm letting you know it's in the game. However, I like to, if you look at Leon's storyline, he plays against zombies throughout his playthrough, where Chris and Jake play against human opponents in their campaign playthrough. I don't necessarily like to be the one, taking out other humans. I like to take out creatures and zombies, and so I like to play Leon's story more than the others. This HD collection also has Ada's story on it as a bonus that you can play through, which was originally DLC, so there's that to play through as well. The ESRB rating, like I said, tells you about the strong language. What it does not tell you, however, is this game does take the Lord's name in vain in some places. However, there are some wraparounds for this. During the game, the campaign, you can skip the cutscenes, as I talked about, with your back button or your select button, and most of the blasphemous content that comes in, the taking the Lord's name in vain, occurs during cutscenes. So you can skip those. Another nice option is once you finish parts of the campaign, it starts saving them in chapter form. So if you want to go back and replay certain parts of the game and be able to skip parts of the game, you can do that. So let's say you earmark a certain chapter that had something in it that you did not like. You don't have to replay that. You can kind of skip around and play whatever chapter you want. A nice feature as well. The language, however, also is in it. You can kind of skip some of the blasphemy, but there are mild profanities in the game. They're not dropping F-bombs every few seconds or anything like that, but there is mild S-words, D, H, things like that sprinkled throughout the dialogue. So again, if that's a deal breaker for you, there is no wraparound for that. I myself don't find myself playing the campaign very often, as I like to play the outside modes, which we have Agent Hunt, and we have the Mercenaries modes, and you can play these either solo or co-op, which is awesome, which turn out to be basically kind of like a horde type mode, where you basically see how many points that you can get before a helicopter comes to extract you by taking down as many enemies as you can, trying to survive. Things like that. You can either do that by shooting the zombies, or kind of using your right trigger to do melee attacks. So if you hear one coming close, you also have the ability to do melee attacks. You do have a stamina system, so you can't do it forever, but you can do melee attacks and take out your enemies that way as well, which helps blind and low vision as well. If you don't have any bullets, or you're in a position where you don't feel like you can, snapshot or aim properly, you can right trigger if they're too close to you and do some melee attacks, which is awesome. Yeah, so there is some wraparounds, guys, for the campaign. You can skip the cutscenes, which has some of the things, but you can't skip the blood and gore, and you cannot kind of wrap around getting through some of the mild profanities that are throughout the thing, as it occurs even in the gameplay sections of the campaign. But you can avoid both of those. You can avoid the language and blasphemy by playing these outside modes, as there is no dialogue or anything in the mercenaries modes or things like that. But the blood and gore do remain, guys. So if that, like I said, if the blood and gore is a deal breaker for you, that's there. Now, the nudity that is mentioned in the ESRB rating is in the game. It's in the campaign, kind of later on in the campaign of Leon's, and you see it in the character of Ada, and there's a brief scene of nudity in that. That is there. I'm just letting you guys know that that is there. Again, for me, I'm visually impaired, so that's not necessarily a temptation for me. But if it is for you, it's brief, but it is in the game, and so use your own discernment, as I always say, your own discernment, guidance of the Holy Spirit, and your knowledge of God's Word to kind of let you know whether this game is right for you. The feelings that you have within your own heart, God will let you know. I just kind of tell you the content that's in the game. I go through it, give you my opinions on it, and I let you guys be the judge on whether it is right for you. Okay, I'm going to kind of show you guys the mercenaries mode. So I'm going to give you a little warning. There will be a little bit of blood and gore from fighting against these zombies, but I want to show you the snapshot in action for the physical accessibility, and just kind of show you content-wise what the game looks like, and you can kind of be your own judge on whether you would want to play something like this. Playing as Leon, and you kind of have zombies coming at you, and you kind of collect these little things. And the goal is to try to take out as many enemies as you can, and of course survive, not get killed, until your extraction, your helicopter comes to take you away. See, that snapshot kind of snaps me to what I need to be at. So it's pretty cool, guys. The blood and gore, like I said, if that is the deal breaker, you can see how it is. Ugh. 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 But yeah, it's a pretty relatively fun game mode. Oh, hang it out. I'm gonna get killed. Go. Oh. 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 As you see, it snapped me to where I kind of need to be. And that's it, guys. So I just kind of wanted to show you how that worked in action. You can see the content. There was some blood and gore, guys, and you saw the snap in action and things like that. So it's a pretty fun game mode. You can kind of do that. You can do that with co-op with partners as well. So overall, what do we got morally? Well, it's kind of a mixed bag. The campaign does have the skippable blasphemous content for the most part, as being able to skip the cutscenes. However, the mild profanity does remain, and the blood and gore remains. So, and of course, there's that scene of nudity in Leon's, if you're only playing Leon's campaign, a little later on, if that's a deal breaker. Not sure if that's skippable. I'm not sure if you could see that outside of the cutscene or not. Maybe skippable. But if you're playing the mercenary mode, you can, as you saw, there's no dialogue or anything during that. So you can avoid the blasphemous content there. You can avoid the language there, but you cannot avoid the blood and gore there. So overall, I would say use your own discernment on this. The blood and gore to me is not a deal breaker, but if it is to you, if that kind of thing is a temptation for you, then use your own discernment and the violence and things like that. I would obviously not recommend this to a child, but if you're mature in your walk with God and you're mature in this life, I would say that this game is playable through these outside modes and is approachable through the campaign with being able to skip things and things like that. And so overall, I would give Resident Evil 6 a C for accessibility, with the ability to skip certain things and do things like that. It is approachable. So overall, the gameplay smooth. Subscribers have asked me how games play. This is very fluid, very easy to play, and I have no complaints in that department. So overall, guys, I give Resident Evil 6 for physical accessibility a C+, and I give it for moral Christian accessibility a C, with some option to skip things and some wraparounds for things and other modes to play to avoid things. So hopefully this has helped you guys. If it has, give me a like on this video, as it helps our ministry immensely. Subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss anything we do, and hit that follow button, guys, and be able to join us the next time we are live. This has been another edition of Should Christians Play, the series where we go between the lines of the ESRB to answer the questions: should a Christian play? And is this game accessible for me? I love you guys. God loves you. Until the next one, blessed wishes.